Okay, well, it's that time of year where we got to start our preseason checklist on the combine. Where we start, you just start on one corner of the machine and work your way around. You got the roof up on the cab, you got a couple filters up there and part of your AC system. You check that out. You got your engine right there for your regular engine maintenance, your oil change, your air filters, stuff like that. And you're always checking combines for fatigue on metal. You got one hydraulic reservoir up there to check oil level and things like that. You got your lights. Come down to the feeder house. You got that big chain looking at us. We just rolled a new one in. The old one was getting kind of bent up and sloppy from rocks. You got a chain coming up the side of the feeder house. You're looking at sprockets for sharpness. This final drive we pulled off. Reset the bearings in there. They were starting to get a little bit of movement, things like that. You can come up, we can poke in here a little bit. You can just see the top of the thrashing system. And so this is a big cylinder. It spins around against the concave, and we'll see some of that more later. But you can see the left and the right, and so they just rock that cob back and forth to get the kernels off the cob. But you're checking them, make sure they're straight, not bent up from rocks, not rubbed down smooth or this or that. You know, damage on them is a big one, cracks. While we're here, right up top is your return auger from your return system that comes back into the thrashing system. You got a slip clutch we check, you got your brakes down there, and moving around. This side's tore apart. We had a big bearing get a little boogered up. The plate itself kind of fell apart, and so that's just how it goes. Doesn't matter if you got a brand new combine or a 1987 model like this. They're just high maintenance, a lot of wear. You're expecting a lot out of them, and so you got to kind of keep a lot into them. But you know, you got a lot of belts over here. Check all the belts. You got shaft speed sensors. We got to clean it yet too, but you got shaft speed sensors. Right up there where that hose goes in is another gearbox to check. Got a computer and make sure our wires here are good. Tin, the frame, you got the brakes, transmission down there, the hydraulic accumulator. We got this side of the big cleaning fan. He makes all the air that separates our chaff and grain so we can get clean grain. The clean grain comes out to this elevator right here, runs up the elevator into the hopper up top. Our moisture tester will just give him a good cleaning. All it is the corn comes up and there's just a hole in the clean grain that a little bit trickles. There's an auger that feeds it back in and a moisture plate back there. And at the top is a mass flow sensor that actually does the weighing or the sensing of how much we're getting. Got another belt. You got your rear axle for bushings, your four-wheel drive hubs. Give them a good check over. Change oil in the hubs. Make sure our steering pins are in good shape and the wheel's tight down there. We come back and we've got a couple screens, one here and then one underneath that you can't see. And so grain comes across these screens and trickles down through, and the air gets blown up and carries the chaff and debris that we don't want out. And so that's the cleaning system. And so we're making sure that these are all fastened to the adjuster, and so that we can adjust them the same. If one's broken, that's how you get really dirty grain, and you actually get docked on your price for dirty grain. We got augers that ride on wood blocks here, so we just check the wood blocks. You got some more wood blocks for the walkers. You're checking everything for cracks, and you know, the combine just shakes, and so after 5,000 hours, sheet metal starts to come apart, and you're checking rubber seals. Like here, you just so you aren't getting any grain on the ground, doing the best job you can to keep the kernels in the machine. We got a loss sensor here. Check the harness, make sure the harness is good. Mice, love to eat these harnesses over winter. Got another loss monitor up here, and things like that. And you put hands on everything, even as simple as air pressure on the tires. Got the return elevator here, so any unthrashed soybean pods, dirty grain comes back through here, goes back up into the concave like we had talked about. You got your unloading auger drive system in the big sump. We make sure that steel looks in good shape. Here's the other side of the cleaning fan, and your shoe drive chains there, make sure all of them are there, and your hydraulic and hydrostatic pumps, make sure that they're all looking good. You got more belts up in there and a few electrical connectors. You got a hydrostatic system like on a lawnmower hooked to a 4-speed gearbox, like an old car, and so it's a simple system, but just things to check out. There's rubber bushings everywhere. You see a bolt and a bushing like that, there's a rubber bushing inside. There's another one. There's 3 more, and so you got all of them to check out. We got this left hand axle yet to pull off and tighten up the bearings. Coming around on the feeder house, you got this side of the feeder house, you've got your variable speed drive pulley. You got a bearing setup and stuff in there and a hydraulic seal. You can make sure none of that's leaking, everything's in good shape. All these variable speed pulleys, I walk around with a piece of key stock and slide down inside to make sure that they're set at the right gap. You got a reverser gearbox here, and so if the header plugs, you can flick that into reverse and back the feeder house up to try and get rid of slugs. And so you got oil to change there. And so yeah, they're just a very high maintenance thing. Other than a planter, they're about the most expensive thing on our farm to operate. We don't have much for other equipment other than a planter and a combine. But it takes a lot to keep them going. We haven't even looked at the heads yet. Each corn head and bean head and whatever other head you're using, a wheat head or a stripper, depends on what part of the country you're at and the crop you're doing. The heads themselves are high maintenance. You got tons of moving parts and whatnot. And so yeah, when you got that many bearings and belts and pulleys and chains, yeah, you're gonna stick some money into them to keep them going, but you're expecting a lot out. And it's kind of neat, the conditions that you can run these combines through, and you're watching just trash and crap come in the front end, and up top you're just watching beautiful clean grain. And so you got your radiator to keep clean, and there's a big rotary screen over there to help do that. But you still got to open it up and take a look at it and all that little stuff. Put your hands all over the machine and make sure it's in good shape. You do it now at the 1st of September. That way when it's October and November and you're running hard, hopefully you find and get rid of a lot of problems so you can roll smoother through the harvest and not have to worry about stupid little breakdowns and stuff. And so, well, that's the pre-season of the combine, and back to work.